They've ordered in the Netherlands, in Sweden, and in Deutschland to cover up crime statistics that almost all rapes are by the Islamists. Because in their culture, if a woman's not covered up, they're fair game. Then if you rape her, she goes to prison. Again, this is everything that Matt Bracken has predicted. If you go to InfoWars.com, we have Paul Watson's boil down and breakdown of this. Now, notice, first they said it was just a truck. It was an accident running over Christmas trees and 60-something people critical and 12 dead. We had 80-something dead in Nice and hundreds injured. They tried to cover that up as well. Like San Bernardino shooting people in front of the Christmas tree. The husband and wife, the FBI knew, was ordered to stand down 2 years before. They were going to the Middle East, going to Saudi Arabia, going to Pakistan for training. It's incredible. You go to Pakistan for training, you're a jihadi, you're on your Facebook talking about how you like ISIS, we're going to kick your ass out of the country. If you weren't natural born, I think we should strip your citizenship. You're a jihadi anchor baby, we want to throw you and your family out of here, back to one of the hellholes you came from, where you're all killing each other. I am sick of this. Political correctness is not a suicide pact. So while Bracken's talking, we're going to show you what the media doesn't want you to see. Oh, they'll show you fake violence or occasional rare right-wing violence all day. But they don't want you to see the Islamists running over people with trucks and all the rest of it. Just like this guy up in Ohio tried. When the cop shot him with the Somali stabbing people, the media said it was racist. So CNN called the act of terror a truck crash again yesterday. That was going on. Berlin truck attacker identified a 23-year-old Pakistani refugee they found with blood all over him. But now they say they don't think it's him and released him. Because like I said, bring down Merkel. So there'll be a catch and release thing now. I mean, I'm not saying he's 100% guilty. That's just who the witnesses said and everybody, and he's all bloody. And reportedly they said pulled out of the truck. But you know what? I'm sure the truck's Megatron. It did it on its own. How low can you go? Ukrainian PM calls Russian ambassador's murder a hero. That's who Soros has installed in the Ukraine. CNN, again, responds to Islamic terror attack in Berlin by blaming conservatives. We didn't kiss their butts enough. We told them not to poop in the pool. These are Merkel's deaths. German MEP blames chancellor for refugee attack. Fake news. New York Times claims self-driving truck kills 9 in Berlin. Yeah, even though it wasn't true. They just make crap up. This is the enemy media. Merkel's open-door policy blamed for Berlin truck attack. German state minister, we're in a state of war. The interior minister of the German state of Saarland said Tuesday Germany is in a state of war after a man drove a truck into a crowd in Berlin Christmas market, killing 12 people and injuring 48 and suspected terrorist attack. Beautiful carols, beautiful lights, beautiful trees. A cultural event, running over people. And oh my gosh, the left, Obama came out after the Ohio attack and said, don't blame Islam. You don't blame a Somali who was here illegally, who pledged allegiance to Al-Qaeda and ISIS. Why do they hate us so much? Why is the left allied with them? And now that Trump got the electors, 303 yesterday of 270 he needed, more people went against Hillary than went against him. Notice how it backfired. Another repudiation of these people. They don't care. I don't think they're going away. I think they're going to plan something else. Let's get Matt Bracken's take on all this. Former Navy SEAL, best-selling author, who I didn't even know about until about a year and a half ago, who got highly recommended by some of my Pentagon sources. And by the way, I can pick the phone up and call current high-level CIA, current Pentagon. I can pick up the phone and I'm not going to brag here. The media goes crazy with it. Everybody knows who I can talk to, who I do talk to. Okay? And let's just say the reason they talk to me is because they know who I talk to. And I've just been basically told that I've been adopted as the mouthpiece of what's really going on. I'm not told what to say. I know what's going on. Okay? I'm not bragging. I'm telling the listeners, you need to understand, the good news is we'd already be in martial law if it wasn't for about 90% of the military being awake. And Trump, has put all these generals in knowing they're planning a coup once he gets in or before. So people are going to say, oh, you're going to back fascism by Trump? Well, if they try to blow up the White House or something and he arrests a bunch of people, that's not fascism. We have the tyranny in our country. We're going to have to remove it. I don't want to arrest thousands of these people, but they're seditious. They're not going to stop. They're calling for killing the president-elect. I say arrest every damn one of them and charge them. If I called for killing the president, they'd arrest me, and they should. Matt Bracken, I mean, people need to understand, from my view, we're in the middle of a civil war still. What do you say?
Definitely, and it's a dangerous time. We did hold off their electoral coup It even blew back on Hillary, where she lost more electoral votes than Trump did. But they won't give up. They never quit. You know, this is the red-green alliance. This is Islam and the left allied against civilization. We see it starkly in Germany. Even now, you know, they are afraid to name what it is, which is Islamic terror, something that all Muslims need to know, all the quote-unquote moderate Muslims. People aren't stupid, even though the mainstream media portrayals might make it sound like we're blind and stupid. We understand there's no protesting going on. Millions come out to protest against Muhammad cartoons. They don't come out to protest against slaughter in the streets. And the way that I look at it, the only difference between the moderate Muslims and the radical Muslims is that the moderate Muslims are just demographically planning to take over, as the radicals, you know, are sort of the bad cop in a ongoing good cop, bad cop routine. The bad cops are blowing up buildings or, you know, driving over people with trucks. And then we're told, don't make the good Muslims mad, just give them a little bit more. So what we're seeing now is the extinguishing of Christianity in Europe. You think there are going to be these Christmas festivals in Europe outside anymore?
And notice the leftists then are all trying to sue and ban Christmas trees. They say don't even hand out Christmas cards, which is your First Amendment. They're now saying don't even use holiday in the colleges. The left is synced up trying to extinct Christianity.
Well, this is, and this is the meaning of Islam. It's not peace, it's submission. Islam means submission. You'll get peace, theoretically, after the entire world has submitted to Islam, which I don't plan to do. You know, the other attack, though, I would like to mention a minute, the other attack in Ankara, the policeman in his suit with his ID and his, you know, service pistol, I think that's got the elites way more freaked out than what happened at the Christmas fair in Berlin.
Well, Russia thinks it's a false flag to try to, and my word from a high-level Pentagon source last week, and I went with it on air, is they're going to try to escalate the Syria thing before Obama leaves, and that really try to start a bombing war against Russia. They're hoping they retaliate. The word is, and Russia said this, they're going to lay back and wait till Trump gets in. What's your intel?
Well, I just want to continue on this thought about this assassin that's up on the screen right now. When the elites are worried, they're not worried about us getting run over in streets or blown up in a cafe. They could care less. We're the peasants. We're outside of the green zone. You know, we're living out in the hinterland in the you know, Westworld. They're living inside of the protected perimeter. So when somebody in a suit and tie with a clean-shaven face walks up and shoots a tier 1, you know, ambassador in the head, that gets their attention. I'll call people's attention also back to previous assassinations by security. Indira Gandhi was killed by a security guard. Anwar Sadat was killed by soldiers that jumped out of a truck during a pass-in review. So, you know, the elites, they start to freak out when they see their own security agents assassinating them from behind, because they're all surrounded by security that they think they can trust.
Well, sure. I mean, it's normally your security. People always ask, why I don't get security? And I said, it's usually your security that kills you. That's what people contract with to kill you.
Yeah, and yeah, they're not in all cases, but I mean, they are susceptible to being paid by the highest bidder.
Well, look at RFK. I mean that was somebody security killed him there in L.A. Absolutely. But what do you think the overall message is? I mean, the jihadis, I guess, I mean, as you said, they're testing Merkel and others to make sure they sit there and cover up it's Islam. That's part of their deal.
Right. Well, if Merkel doesn't resign now, obviously she's, you know, never going to resign. If she's reelected, then put a fork in Germany. And as Germany goes, Europe goes. I wrote something for Gates of Vienna last year about hybrid vigor. You know, I don't worry about you know, Germans, but I worry a lot about Islamized Germans, super Germans. It was the Berbers of Morocco that invaded Spain after they were Islamized and had that convert zeal. It wasn't the skinny little desert Arabs. It was the Berbers of Morocco after they had become Islamized. I fear what will happen when Germans are Islamized. You know, when all of these German lesbians are suddenly having 5 or 6 children, like it or not, that are going to be raised a Muslim. In 1 or 2 generations, Germany could become a powerhouse of Europe in a very bad way.
Well, by the way, Islam, I mean, we've got top imams saying it. We're going to take the women. We're going to make our new super Islam people. Ha, ha, ha. The men are pigs. They're cowards. They give us their women. I mean, they're so freaking arrogant.
Right, and there are heroes in Europe like Geert Wilders, and he is very similar to Trump in this respect. He understands the media jujitsu. A year ago, people thought Trump was an idiot for going face to face with the mainstream media in ways that weren't flattering to him. Putting out tweets that people said were stupid or blunders. But he was appealing to Joe Blue Collar. He was appealing to Middle America, and Geert Wilders is doing the same thing. So when these left-wing politicized judges in Holland convict Geert Wilders of saying nasty things about Moroccans, that just makes him more popular. So he's understanding this populist jujitsu the way that Trump did, the way that the left in this country is still trying to figure out. They're still trying to, go back to the old playbook. Let's blame it on the Russians or blame it on fake news. They still don't know what's hitting them. So there's still a lot of room out here for the populist jiu-jitsu experts. And I hope the best for Wilders in Holland. I think his election is in March, February or March. So we should see a very interesting 2017. And remember also, in Germany and across Europe, it's only because of luck and incompetence on the part of these terrorists that there aren't attacks like last night weekly. And there was a 12-year-old about a week ago who was trying to take a nail bomb into another festival. If that had gone off, it would have been another.
By the way, I was told by sources a year ago, it was Christmas again, and then also about 6 months ago, oh, the Germans keep busting them with big plastic explosive bombs that somebody's giving them in ambulances and stuff, trying to get them into sporting events to blow up a whole crowd. And sure enough, then it came out in the news that they've busted other ones trying to blow up soccer events. So, man,
yeah, they're trying to. When they owned Mosul, they had a university in an oil region in northern Iraq, and for a couple of years they were churning out university laboratory level chemists trained in just one thing, making the peroxide explosive, so that they can then go to Europe and become teachers. If you know how to make the triperoxide formula, all you need to do is buy bulk stuff that you can buy at cosmetology stores and supermarkets and so forth, and you can make something as powerful as C4. That's what blew up the bus and the subway in London. and the train in Madrid. It's very powerful. It doesn't have a great shelf life. It's hard to work with, but it's extremely powerful. And they've got now, dozens, if not hundreds, of these chemists in Europe. And most of them.
Let me ask you this question: what is the master plan of the left to bring in 5 million of these people in Europe, hundreds of thousands here, not vet them, get them in as sleeper cells? Because from my study, they don't totally control the Islamicists. They have some control through rogue groups in MI6, the Israelis, and the CIA.
I think that they're evil, of course, but the more naive ones might think that they're going to just ride the tiger of Islam and then in the wreckage of Europe establish communism.
Sure, they're just taking money from Saudi Arabia now because they can live in a bigger apartment or drive a Ferrari.
But the better example, the better paradigm is Carlos the Jackal, who actually wrote a biography from his prison in France, where he is converted to Islam. He was a communist Bader Meinhof type guy in the 60s and 70s. He converted to Islam, and he actually wrote a letter to President Obama, which was published, which is pretty amazing, saying that only an alliance between the left and Islam will ever be powerful enough to destroy capitalism in the West.
Sure, let's be clear. The left hates their smartphones, their money, their great medicine, everything so much, and they love wearing Che Guevara shirts so much that they would ally with something that literally keeps women as animals, all because they have some weird hate of the West and some mental illness that was implanted in them. Where the hell does this come from?
But when it gets to nut cutting time, when it gets to head chopping time, history shows conclusively that these guys, like Carlos the Jackal, they take the easy way and convert to Islam. Because remember, if you're a totalitarian bastard and you're a man, Islam's not a bad deal. You get to beat your old lady, you get to rape children, marry your cousin's daughter who's 13 years old and beat her if she doesn't put out. I mean, so for an evil man, Islam is a pretty easy conversion from being an evil communist. Now, the commie women, they're the ones that are going to wake up in a burqa wondering what the heck happened to them. You know, these German women that aren't making babies will be making babies whether they like it or not if, you know, when Islam succeeds with their, you know, 5 babies per woman birth rate compared to 1.1, which isn't replaceable.
How did the West teach suicide to its people? It's just crazy to watch.
Yeah, you have to go back to Antonio Gramsci and the Frankfurt Group and the who are the guys in England? The anyway, the communists of the early 20th century.
The Fabian socialists, all of them.
Fabians. It's going to be the long march through the institutions. That was the way that worked.
No, they said it. And they've conquered us, and now they just want to. The weird thing is, you think they took over, they run everything. Why would they want to then blow it up?
Well, they thought that they could establish communism, but as communism has been defeated and pushed back, the only thing that they've got left is this alliance with Islam. And this is a word of warning to women. The men who preach communism and pivot to Islam aren't going to see a big decrease in their lifestyle. They may have 2 or 3 women after that. The women who think that they're going to stick with communism are the real fools in this, because they're going to wind up in a harem wearing a burqa having 5 babies, like it or not.
I know, it's so crazy. And they only be allowed out if you're a piranha that worships it and helps keep the other women in line. You'll be kind of the house slave. Matt Bracken's our guest. We should also probably give you his website as well, enemiesforeignanddomestic.com. The Gates of Vienna also is another great site that his work appears on. You can find his books. Ryan in Wyoming, thanks for holding. You're on the air.
First of all, I just wanted to say I believe the answer is sovereign men and women and sovereign households becoming self-sufficient. And your store, your products, X2, water filters, everybody needs to get them. The point I wanted to bring up was the Tet 2 offensive. In December of 2015, there were hundreds of propane tanks that were stolen. Also at the same time, there were hundreds of cell phones that were sold. And I just wanted to get Mr. Bracken's and
well, sure. Clearly, there are jihad bases all over the country as sleeper cells that I guess the left can just give its nod and they'll start blowing stuff up as like the secret army. Then they bring in martial law afterwards. But if Obama's going to do that, he's got 30 days. Thank you for the call. Great point, Ryan. Mr. Bracken, what do you say to that?
Well, I can't rule anything out in terms of that timing. But, if an attack of sufficient magnitude happens, even under President Trump, it really wouldn't be that much of a different outcome if there's, say, a grid attack, or even just a simple kinetic rifle attack against enough, power substations. Putting this country into a grid down scenario is going to be ugly no matter who's in charge. Same thing with crashing the economy. Some kind of a cyber attack that tanks out our banking system, destroys the EBT system. It won't matter if Thomas Jefferson or George Washington are in charge. There's not going to be an easy solution if the lights go out and our cities explode.
And Soros has doubled the amount of money to domestic destabilization operations, showing they're planning something big.
Right, and the media is going to continue to be their cheerleader. I mean, I'm watching the media, and the only time that you see anything like a hate crime are these fake hoaxes, the hoaxes, the hijab babes that always turn out to be hoaxes.
Every case of Islamists being attacked in America turns out to be fake.
But the media never shows that at all. Instead, they'll show some, frat brother alleged incident. Like
attacks on Islam at record levels. Yeah, exactly. It's totally sick. Well, they've been apologizing for the latest jihad attack.
But the thing is, their power is slipping. And, Drudge is right. You're right. Other people talking about this are right. The media is Julian Assange. He's certainly right.
He says they have less and less credit. I mean, they just have no pertinence. They just aren't even on the radar.
No. That's right. Your star is rising and theirs is slipping. They just don't know it yet.
It isn't a fun star to be rising, but we're doing our duty. It's the audience spreading the word, spreading the videos. People now realize. I mean, look, the globalists paint a total takeover of the country and basically re-education, telling us what words to use. So of course there was a resistance to that, and now, if the controllers want to go to the next level, my God, they are going to get their ass stomped.
That's exactly right. I mean, I can't say more than what you just said. Prosperity is the best propaganda for sure. Like what I was watching Salenti before. He's absolutely right. Nothing's going to breed success like economic success. The problem is, that the takedown could be on a global scale, and even Donald Trump. And no matter who's in charge, no matter what his great policies are, if there's a global economic crash, Trump will be called the Hoover. He'll be called, the person that brought on the crash. And Obama will be the wise man.
That's why it's important to let Soros and the globalists and all of them know, the Davos crew, we're watching you. We know your tricks. You're going to be held accountable. Don't think you're going to run off during New Zealand during some civil war. We're going to make sure that you get in serious trouble.
Yeah, as far as some trick where Obama ends up staying in, declaring martial law, I think that's completely out the door now at this point. And this is one of the things that by Trump acting so presidential so early, for example, with the carrier.
Which they admit's never been done before.
Right. And well, he's already, in a sense, the virtual president. So anything that happens now, let's say a truck bomb goes off right during the inauguration, it won't stop it. He's going to be in, if the White House is blown up.
Even if they kill him, it's only going to supercharge Americana. And by the way, he's very fatalistic in a good way. He's very cheerful about all this. He's ready to, he's not even scared.
No, I mean, and he doesn't need this. That's the thing that I come back to. He's not a power mad money grubber like the Clintons. It came out of the, of the wherever they came from.
Hillary's reportedly basically dying, and she's still money grubbing 6 days a week, going around money grubbing for herself. She's got hundreds of millions of dollars, billions in Swiss bank accounts reportedly, and she's money grubbing.
Donald Trump could have set up trusts where all of his grandchildren for the next 6 generations would be millionaires. He could have retired to an island with.
But he risked everything on restoring the republic,
including knowing that there were going to be some very disgraceful skeletons that had to fall out of the closet, like the Billy Bush thing. He knew that was going to happen. He knew he was going to get slimed. So it took a lot of guts. People with a lot of skeletons in their closets. People say, "Why don't you run for office?" Skeletons, too many skeletons. So it takes a lot of guts for a guy like Donald Trump to actually do this, and knowing he's going to take all the slings and arrows. So I do respect and admire him greatly.
Absolutely. All right, I'm out of time. To Ben and Danny and Jesse and WC, I really appreciate the callers holding. I love you to death. We're going to be back tomorrow live and a lot more. Paul Watson's about to take over. But hey, he is now president-elect, and he's gotten the Electoral College. They tried to block it. This is an incredible time, and all I can say is have a great Christmas and New Year, Mr. Bracken. We want to thank you for all you do, enemiesforeign and domestic.com. I expect to see probably more of these attacks, don't you?
Absolutely. No doubt, and possibly even attacks from the left at the inauguration.
Can you imagine getting in a country that brought you in as an asylum seeker, gave you food, gave you money, and then you line up an 18-wheeler and run over men, women, and kids?
Well, I understand the Islamic motivation, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see like a left-wing Weather Underground kind of reaction at this point. The William Ayers type of a thing. I wouldn't be surprised to see, for example, drones being used to attack the inauguration parade. Very easy.
And also, I think making themselves victims. I think of false flags in the wind. We've got to all watch that. Thank you, Matt Bracken. Nobody be violent on our side, folks.